Hey everybody, welcome to Geekoholics Anonymous, episode 77. My name is Rico. I'm here with my co-host,
Dayne Cody.
We get together once a week, talk about video games, movies, TV, and whatever the hell we like. Dayne, my friend, what is going on?
Oh, not too much. Been a bit of a sick week for me, so coming off of the throes of the flu and whatever else the hell I got there. So
yeah. I think I was sick earlier in the year, but I haven't been really sick in a while.
Yeah, I don't...
You're probably laid out from your trip.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, as I think we got back and I think...
You're jet lagged.
Yeah, I think part of it I was run down from jet lag and stuff, and so I worked a few days, and then I was starting to get sick at the end of last week, but I was over the weekend it'll be fine, and then Saturday I really didn't feel good, and then Sunday I was I think I'm okay. I think it's pretty much passed. I had a little bit of, whatever, and then I woke up Monday morning and it was just I want to die. So yeah. So that was my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So today I was back at work and I'm drinking echinacea tea and trying to keep it away. So yeah.
When you're listening to this and you're going why the hell is the episode so late? I would have downloaded it by now.
Exactly.
It's all Dayne's fault.
It's because I didn't have a voice yesterday.
So
I would have been hey guys, how's it going? What's going on? Yeah, it would have been pretty rough.
You would sound like Marcus from Gears of War.
Yeah, pretty much. So
So everyone, if you haven't listened before, but I'm sure you have, we usually open the show with what you've been playing, get in some news, and then our free-for-all section where we talk about whatever the hell we like. And then sometimes we have a little bonus designated drinking section, and we find out what great fancy liquor, scotch, whiskey, or whatever that Dayne is drinking. But obviously he's drinking tea today to make himself feel better.
It's true.
And I
wish I was drinking scotch, but
as always, I aim to disappoint, and I'm drinking just regular ass iced tea. I gotta go pick up some of that Long Island iced tea mix. That stuff's deadly. It's so good.
Yeah, it is tasty. Would have been better in the summer when it was hot out,
It doesn't matter. It's like juice, but it's booze. So it's yummy. Yeah, so let's get right to it, my friend. What you been playing? Let's get the biggie out of the way right off the bat.
Okay.
Microsoft so graciously
bestowed upon you
a copy of Gears of War 4.
You're an asshole.
And I've had it since I think maybe the last podcast. But I couldn't talk about it until today, as you've probably noticed everyone's reviews have been dropping on the internet.
I have been noticing that the Envoy is up.
Yeah.
You can drop all the news.
This is a new studio.
The Coalition.
The Coalition in Vancouver.
Yeah, man.
Which is pretty sweet. Headed by, is it Rod Ferguson?
Yes. So he was one of the original people involved in...
Yeah, with Gears of War.
Yeah, exactly.
The old trilogy. So, new studio... New, I'm going to say in quotation marks, trilogy, because we don't know. Takes place about, I think it's 20 years after the last one.
That sounds about
it's
right.
20 years. And you actually are playing as a new character, Phoenix's son. And now I'm having a huge brain fart on his freaking name. I want to say it's JD. And he is ex-COG. He's left the COG, and he lives in a settlement outside of the city in Gears 4 after the Locusts were defeated. Basically, all of humankind has moved into big-ass walled cities.
Kind of seems like that would be a good thing after everything that had occurred over the Gears games.
Are basically... working on repopulating the planet because mankind was almost wiped out.
Right. Man, I really need to go back and finish Gears 2 and 3.
So they him and his buddy left the cog. There's some backstory they kind of gloss over, and obviously I think we're going to learn more about this in the coming games.
Right.
And they're living in a settlement outside of the walled cities that the cog protect. And they don't have the big army. They're kind of scroungers, raiders. They raid camps and so forth for supplies and live on the fringes. Anyway.
Right. Okay, that sounds fine. Fair, sorry.
The new characters, pretty cool.
Right.
I like them. They're all very likable. There's a lot of banter in this between them all. The cool thing about this game...
Is it good banter, though? Like, because that was kind of one of the thing, like, in the first couple of games. That was always something that kind of stood out to me in the Gears games. Is like, yeah, it was totally that dude bro sort of, thing.
It's absolutely not dude bro-y. They're totally normal.
That's good.
I thought it was Nolan North or Troy Baker doing the main character's voice. And it's not. It's a different actor. Yeah, he's totally different actor. So it's 24 years after, or 25 years, sorry.
Fair enough.
Son of Marcus Felix. Yeah, JD. I got it right. JD Phoenix. His buddy Dal and their friend Kate.
Right.
So they're just on a little mission. The game opens up. They're on a little mission to go raid one of the cog settlements that's under construction. So they're not populated. They're just built by robots and machines.
Oh, interesting.
In complete safety. So they came up with a plan to go in and get something called a replicator, which produces weapons, and you can use it to power. They need it to power their little settlement that they have going on, and they go in and
it's kind of like a glorified 3D printer with power attached.
Yeah, they can make guns and turrets and all kinds of stuff. And
cool.
So they go in and they sneak in, and then they get discovered. And basically, the robots is like the new woman who's running the planet. What's her name? Man, I'm really bad at this.
That's all right. We can gloss over some of that stuff because spoilers and things.
She can speak through the robots to the characters, and she knows them.
Right.
Because,
okay.
She knows that it's Marcus' son and knows all of them because they're ex-cogs. And basically she's like, hey, you guys stand down and we'll figure something out. And then they're like, no, and they shoot the robots. So then the robots are trying to stop you, and you basically have a new enemy to fight, which is kind of cool. You're not fighting the Locust or, the Lambent. It's totally different enemies, which is really cool. Something new for the series because, we've been fighting
essentially variations of the same enemy for quite a while.
Yeah, and now we have totally complete enemies with different attack behaviors and patterns. And they're kind of neat because they're not humans. So it makes sense for the conflict. It's not just like, why would humans that are almost extinct be fighting humans, right?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
That wouldn't make sense.
And no.
Although humans are assholes, so who knows?
Though, before I kind of jumped the gun. There's a prologue to this game before you meet the main characters that I just mentioned, the trio. It actually is a prologue that goes all the way back to the Cog Wars, and up until the Locust battle, almost like a history lesson of the series.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
There's was it 3 or 4 stages, which are essentially like flashbacks to the past up until the war ends, and then this starts, which is kind of neat.
Okay, so it kind of gives you some backstory. And
it gives you even more backstory to the whole Gears universe.
Excellent. I like backstory. I like when they fill in sort of the blanks and give you more about the universe and stuff like that.
Gears takes place after E-Day, or they call it E-Day?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's essentially Gears always takes place after the Locusts have more or less
they showed up.
Yeah, they showed up and destroyed almost everything.
You never fight humans in any of the Gears ones.
No, but because if I remember correctly, humans were sort of in the middle of something happening, and then all of a sudden the locusts showed up and destroyed pretty much everyone.
Yeah, I think their war ended. That war that I was talking about. So it's cool, new enemies, classic Gears of War style gameplay. Game looks fantastic.
How's it run?
I beat it on the Xbox One. It looks awesome, and it runs really well. I believe it's 30 frames a second. It feels like it. It looks like it. Lots of lighting effects. Unfortunately, I don't have an Xbox One S to see the HDR. I did not pick one up. Still on the fence on that purchase. There's some really cool moments in this game. Like, I've beaten the whole campaign.
Oh, okay. Wow. So you've already beat the game.
Oh, yeah. I beat the campaign. Yeah, I beat it like a couple days ago.
Okay, wow.
It's five acts, and I think at least 5 stages, or at least in each. And then there's like the whole prologue.
Right.
It's not a super short game, not a very long game, but they break it up with really cool. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some really different gameplay mechanics and systems we've never seen in this game, in this series before. Mm-hmm. There's some really cool scenes that were like, this is freaking awesome, and it looks awesome, and this is amazing right now. Just like almost like Hollywood blockbuster moments, but they're not cutscenes and they're not QTEs. You're playing the game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Which was really cool.
I love it when they do stuff like that.
And there's, like, I don't even want to go into too much detail. There's some new things that you get into which are pretty cool, and it's really fun. Cool new enemies.
So what you're saying is, like, pretty sweet, and the Coalition did a pretty good job. If you're a Gears fan,
they did a pretty good job. So
if you're a Gears fan, you're probably going to really like it.
Oh, absolutely. If you're
not a Gears fan, this isn't going to do anything to suck you in.
It's the same gameplay. If you didn't like that pop and lock, or lock and pop, or whatever the hell they freaking called it. What did they call it?
Shoot and cover?
They had a name for it in the early days. I can't remember. So if you didn't like the Gears gameplay, you're not going to love this game. I like the characters. The acting's great. It's less of that dude broiness. There's some really amazing moments, though. Callbacks and shoutouts to the old game. And of course,
that's cool. Right
some
on.
Some of the old characters come back, obviously, right? There's no spoilers. They've shown that in some of the trailers.
Yeah.
And then basically you uncover this new threat. And I just think the campaign was a pretty decent motivation for all the fighting and what was going on. It made sense. It wasn't just 'cause, you know?
Yeah,
there was a mission. The new enemy types are really cool. Like, not just the DBs, which are the robots, the cyborgs and so forth. Right. There are new enemies that you fight as... I don't know. I guess I could talk about the locusts, right? They're kind of back, but
I mean,
like with a twist. They've shown it in the trailers, right?
Yeah, I mean, we know. How about this? I mean, we know that we're fighting monsters again, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I think that everybody thought they were somehow attached or somehow a type of locust or in relation to a locust.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's like an evolution, let's say. And it introduces some really cool new enemy types, which is neat because, like, in the old Gears of War, you knew everything. There wasn't many surprises.
Yeah, I mean, usually each new game, there was usually like some sort of kind of new thing that they would create, but it was usually boss or some big thing or whatever, right?
There's at least like 7 or 8 new enemy types in this.
Oh, cool.
And they all behave different. And then, of course, you got some of the classic enemies and classic behaviors.
Right, yeah.
Another really cool thing that they introduced in this game is the environmental effects. there's these wind flares, these powerful windstorms that have been forming across the planet.
Right, we've seen they've showed off some of those in some of like their demo gameplay and stuff, right? Like when we played at
PAX, you saw me dealing with one of those storms.
Yeah, exactly.
The game looks amazing. And those are side effects. They don't really explain. The characters talk about it. They're like, oh, they said it was because of this, and then they said it was because of this, and then they said it was that, and like
AKA, they're not really sure why.
Yeah, blaming it on some of the stuff they did from fighting the Locust.
Kind of like how our climate change is happening right now.
Mm-hmm. And you deal with it throughout the game quite often.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The wind flares that like have these giant like electrical storms that come down that you have to avoid. And when these happen, it changes the physics of the game. Like if you have some of the slow firing weapons, bullets will curve, or the ammo that you're shooting out will, like, their trajectory will totally change.
Oh, right. Depending on how like neat. You're shooting into the wind or across the wind or whatever.
Exactly. And environments will just get totally destroyed. You could like shoot that pile of like big giant metal pipes that's like tied down, and then they'll just like get blown apart and like say kill a bunch of guys as they roll over them, which is really neat. And it looks phenomenal like when these scenes are happening, and it's a lot. They're really cool. The wind effects, the rain, the lightning. It's a very pretty game. I enjoyed the campaign very much. I really like the new character. I think I like the new characters more than the old ones.
Wow.
I like the banter.
Okay.
I don't feel like I like this game more than 3, because I really liked 3. But I can't really remember 3 because it's just a big jumble in my head, right? And it was a couple of years ago. Or actually a few years ago, yeah, for sure. But I loved 3, and it came to such a good closure, whereas this is an introduction.
Right.
There's a lot of questions raised, a lot of questions unanswered, and definitely ends on a cliffhanger. There is, closure for what these guys are trying to get accomplished.
Right.
But it definitely ends on a like, okay, we got a bigger problem on our hands. The cat's out of the bag with this new enemy. What
Suddenly
the fuck's
we
going
thought
on?
we were safe, but we're not.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's cool though.
It's a good game. I really liked it. If you're a Gears fan, it's definitely it's good. It's up there. I don't know how you like it ranked the trilogy in.
Well, seeing as I've finished the first game, I've started the second game 3 times with friends. And what ends up happening is I always get to about the same part in the second game.
You said that before.
And then they have to go. And
then you just never pick up again?
Exactly. So then I'm like, oh, well, So yeah, so the second game I've played, like I said, enough to have probably finished the game, but I haven't actually finished it. And I actually own the third one. It's sitting here in the wrapper for when I finish the second game. So go figure. There's my Gears history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say it's a solid 8.5, 9.0 if I was to give it a number out of 10.
Wow, right on.
It's a good title. I didn't play any of the multiplayer because I don't care for Gears multiplayer. I don't like it at all.
Right.
I play these strictly for the campaign. They have brought back Horde mode, which is awesome.
I heard they sort of modified some of the Horde mode stuff a bit.
That's where that Fabricator comes in. The Fabricator levels during the campaign are almost like samplers of what Horde mode would be like.
Oh, okay, cool.
The escalating hordes of enemies attacking a point that you're defending. So they kind of incorporate Horde mode a couple times through the campaign, which is kind of neat. So if you enjoy that, it's like, oh, there's a whole gameplay mechanic around this. They've got skins and card packs and all kinds of customization and crap you can do for the multiplayer stuff. You don't have to even worry about it. If you're not, that stuff's there. You can spend money, but it's not a big deal.
Right. It's not like
I got a bunch of card packs. I didn't even spend any.
Right.
Horde mode's awesome. We all know that already. And the really cool thing is this is a play anywhere title. So I played it on PC.
You bastard.
I went back and forth, actually.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
No wonder it looked so good. You're playing on your PC.
it looked really good on the Xbox One. Seeing it on Xbox One made me think we don't need a Scorpio. That's how good it looked.
You're also playing it on your 4K TV that's upscaling it.
Yes. So it looked awesome on that.
So I'm actually wondering, like, I'm curious what it looks like when I start playing it on my Xbox One on a 1080p TV, though.
I think the games do look better on my new TV for sure. But
well, because it's upscaling everything, right?
But it looked good. I'm like, holy crap, this looks awesome. And then I played on PC, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I don't feel like gypped on Xbox compared to the PC version. On PC, of course, it's 60 frames a second, which is awesome.
Right.
Mouse and keyboard in Gears, I was godlike. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow. What a difference. Because sometimes in Gears, you get hung up on the
environment,
the environment, or you're fumbling with
mental,
or you're fumbling with the sticks trying to get the headshot off.
Oh, it drives me crazy.
Playing it at 60 frames per second with a mouse and keyboard, I'm like, oh my god, this feels like cheating. Because I was so much better on the PC.
That makes me happy.
So that was really cool. And I don't know if it was a recent update to the Windows Store. I was actually able to install it to a directory of my choosing.
Yeah, that was an update that happened a while ago.
Remember how I complained about that? Where the last time I tried to do it, I couldn't. Like, this wasn't even that long. You know that Halo 5 Forge thing?
Yep.
I tried downloading that, and it wouldn't let me choose a place to download it.
Wow.
And that was just in September. So
that's about the most frustrating thing in the world.
The game is huge on PC. It's like 73 gigs.
Whoa! Are you serious?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
it's huge.
Maybe I will play it. Well, how big is it on Xbox One, though? It's got to be huge.
It wasn't as big.
I mean, it's still got to be 50 gigs.
I'd have to go look, but I don't remember it being that big when it said it was initiating the install.
Interesting, because I mean, I think right now on my Xbox One, I think I have like 30 gigs free if I'm lucky.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't be able to even install it on your Xbox. So on PC, I'm like, wow, because Forza 3, people have been saying that it's been struggling to run at 60 frames,
right?
And that there's issues, and they're hoping that's going to get like patched and fixed soon. If you have like a 1080 and a 6700K, it even dips below 60.
Right.
So like, there's some issues with that engine because you should be able to run it. That's Forza 3. On this, though, for me, I've got a 4970K, which is like, what, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, i7 quad core. It's a 4 gigahertz, so it's Devil's Canyon. It's pretty recent.
Yeah, I mean, that's only a couple years old. Also, they more or less skipped the 5 series on like desktop. So yeah, it's really only like one generation behind on desktop.
Yeah, so it ran dope. I had everything. I cranked everything up to ultra.
Right, that was with your 780.
Yep, with my 780 Ti, and it didn't skip a beat. Like
right on.
It was great. But huge disclaimer: Microsoft gave me the game.
Yep,
I'm already a Gears of War fan. I like Gears of War. I'm not a Gears of War like fanboy.
Right. You play lots of other games.
Yeah, it's a great series. It might get into my top 10. But it's not a definitive for me.
Right.
I'm not that loving with Gears. But I could tell if you're a Gears fan, this game's definitely for you. It's been around for a while. You know if you like Gears or not. It is a cool intro to a new story and a new campaign. There's blatantly going to be a sequel. I'm sure this game is going to do gangbusters. And yeah, you can play it on PC. And those Play Anywhere. That Play Anywhere is you have to buy it digitally. So if you buy it retail, you don't get that.
Really?
Yeah. So if
if I buy that on PC, does that mean it crosses over to my console? Or is it only if I buy it on my Xbox One, does it cross over to console?
I know if you get it on Xbox, it definitely goes to PC. Like the same code works in both stores.
Right, because
So,
all you do is you activate the code and it's attached.
I'd imagine it would have to be vice versa.
It shouldn't matter because ultimately what they've done now, that I just remembered, is what they've done is they've combined the stores.
Yeah, but you don't get it. You don't get it retail because they don't want to give you another code and then you just get rid of the retail disc.
Right.
So you have to get it digitally if you want to take advantage of that. So if you're a PC gamer / Xbox gamer, you're probably going all digital from here on out, so you can play it. Anyway, it's really cool too because when you launch it on the PC, I had the game suspended on my Xbox.
Yeah.
Go to PC and it's like, oh, you've got the game running somewhere else. We're going to close that session and pick up where you left off right here.
Really?
And then you earn the achievements on PC, just like as if you were playing it on your Xbox. And the same thing, you go back to your Xbox and it picks up where you left off. You don't even have to think about saving and cloud saves and all that BS, which is kind of cool.
Very cool. That's neat.
Yeah, it's a good game.
That's cool. I might have to check that out a little more for myself. Although by the sounds of it, I'll probably just play it on PC.
Did I play? I didn't. And then I played some Iron Destiny. The Iron Banner has started.
Okay, yeah. I actually started Destiny Rise of Iron.
Nice.
I played a bit of the campaign so far. The first couple missions, got to the new sort of social hub, I guess they call it, or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know. It's definitely no Taken King.
No.
This feels like, I don't know. This just feels like a lot more just sort of vanilla Destiny more than anything at this point. I feel like the Taken King, I don't know, you got really caught up in a story and it felt really...
the Taken King campaign was fantastic.
Whereas this feels a lot more like, oh, hey, maybe you should go over here and talk to this guy. He might need your help for something. It feels more like a side quest. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least so far. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but
the raid is supposed to be amazing, which I'm gearing up to do, but I'm on an endless grind quest until I'll be able to do that.
Right. Yeah. I've heard that.
Once you hit light level 340, which is pretty easy to get to.
Right.
It becomes a grind.
And you need 360 or something to do the raid, or is it 380 or?
It suggests 370.
Oh wow, okay.
So I think 360, if you've got good friends, they'll take you in, but you will be a hindrance.
Right.
365 is better, and I don't think any group will pick you up any random group will pick you up unless you're 370.
Right, okay.
I don't know. I haven't attempted because I'm not even close enough to try. So
no, I think since I started playing again, I am now at 296 light or something like that. I think now,
yeah,
so I'm almost at 300.
By the time you're done the campaign, you'll be really close to 340.
Yeah. So I mean, it's more Destiny, which if that's what you wanted, that's great. I don't know though. I was kind of surprised because when the Taken King came out, I started playing it and I got sucked in. I wanted to keep playing it until that campaign was over, and and
then you wanted to keep playing it.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I'm not gonna lie, in this, I jumped on, I played a couple of the missions. Bumped into the main sort of social hub area, and then something kind of came up and I was like, okay, whatever, cool, I'll come back to this later, and I still haven't.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bad sign. I know I'll force myself to go back and just do it because obviously I've paid for it and I've actually finished every bit of the DLC stuff from the previous Destiny games, at least as far as main campaign stuff goes. And I'll probably even do the strike because, I can jump in with a bunch of randos and go do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just definitely did not have the hooks like the Taken King did, which is kind of disappointing for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is more Destiny and it is different Destiny, which I can't really complain about.
And that's what I said last week. I love Destiny, so I was super excited for
more of it.
And then, like I said, I was disappointed because it is not. It's not as good as Taken King. It's still good compared to original Destiny. They've taken a lot of lessons from Taken King, but with how amazing Taken King was, it's like, oh man, and I mean, like with the Taken King, you got that whole new area as well. You know, like you had the Dreadnought, which was this big ass area that you can use to run around and stuff. There's a big new area in this as well, but it doesn't have as many secrets. There's
at least so far, a bunch of it seems very like sort of rehashed as well, though, right? Like I'm back on Earth. Now they've changed the model for this area now, which is fine, and you know what I mean. Like it's, but no, I will finish it. But I totally did sort of get sidetracked. I haven't gone back to it yet. So that's kind of, so I mean, when I saw sort of some reviews saying, the Rise of Iron package, was kind of a 6 or a 7, I can understand that.
Yeah, I would say it's a 7, and for hardcore Destiny fans, it's an 8.
Right.
But, Taken King would have been like a 9.
But maybe if you're casual like me, it's more like a 6.
If you're like a casual, it's like a 7 or lower.
Yeah.
It's a good game, but it's still Destiny.
Yeah.
The grind is real where I'm at, which kind of sucks because I want to do the raid, but I got to grind so much stuff I've already done to get there, which is kind of boring.
Yeah, that's never good.
And not as many friends are playing as before. Before I had no problem getting people, but right now I have like 2 friends that are playing and one's already raiding, so it's like I'm so far behind because I can't play it like I used to play Destiny. If I could play it like I used to, I would probably be raiding already, but I'm probably not going to be raiding for another couple weeks. So I've been doing Iron Banner, though. Iron Banner, the rewards have been awesome. I'm in, what is it, Thursday today?
Yep.
It started Tuesday. So in 2 days, I'm already like rank 4.
Oh, wow.
Which is cool because I'll hit rank 5 hopefully tomorrow.
Right.
If not later tonight. And then be able to do it on one of my other characters pretty easily. So they've gotten rid of the buffs that they used to have and like you'd get more experience. You just get more experience per win. And the drops have been awesome. I've gotten 3 unique guns, like Iron Banner guns.
Right,
which
okay.
are all really cool. They look really cool.
Nice.
There's a pulse rifle, auto rifle, and a heavy machine gun, which is really cool. They have a really neat, unique look. They're all like black and weathered. They almost look like World War II weapons, and they have like fur and like stuff on them and like leather straps and the Iron Banner like logos and designs like etched into them.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
They're very different looking weapons, and they're dropping like candy. I've gotten like half the new set already, more than half of the new set.
Okay.
Just from winning. The auto rifle was the rank 5, because on each of the different ranks, you unlock different stuff you can purchase from the Iron Banner vendor.
Right, okay.
And it's like gloves, class item, and then a shotgun, which I haven't gotten yet, and an auto rifle. And I've gotten the auto rifle. I've gotten 2 versions of the auto rifle, actually.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Because the ones that drop have random perks. So they can actually be better or worse than the one that you can just buy at the end. But I got one that's better than the one you can actually buy, so I don't have to waste marks on it.
Oh, nice.
So I've been super impressed with the rewards from that. And I have all the gear I got higher light level. So I'm just doing Iron Banner as opposed to grinding strikes, because that's what I should be doing right now. But I'm just making as much. I'm 354 now. So I've progressed just as fast as if I was doing strikes, and I'm just working fools instead.
Oh, that's fair. So
and getting cool, unique gear.
Yeah, exactly. So at least you're still having fun, and it's not a total waste of a grind. Right?
No, I feel like it's more fun than the old Iron Banner, so I do like the changes they've made.
Nice.
Man, there's a lot of shitty warlocks, though. The warlock seems to be pretty OP in PvP right now.
Oh, really?
They're lightning fingers, just roasting people. So there's a couple things here that you put on the list.
Yeah, man. I I spoke to the full disclosure, I had Oceanhorn sent to me. It's an upcoming...
As did I. I think it's already out. I think it's out already, isn't it?
Is it out now? It may have been out. I know I got it actually when I was away in Hawaii, so I hadn't had a chance to...
Yeah, they emailed us after PAX, so...
Yeah, so I hadn't had a chance to take a look at it. I actually dropped 4 or 5 hours into it the other day. So Oceanhorn is a 3D sort of... It reminds me of a cross between Zelda: A Link to the Past and Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
Is, I think, how I would have to describe it. The gameplay is a little bit more Link to the Past. You're sort of a similar viewpoint. You're running around. You got your sword and like you're attacking fools. It's very... You can tell that they went out and tried to make a homage to Zelda with this game.
Yeah.
It's very pretty. I'm playing it on the Xbox One. That was just the code she sent me. I said, whatever you have available is fine with me. I've got all the consoles. So she sent me an Xbox One code. So that's where I'm playing it. It plays great. It's very pretty. It's very vibrant, and I really like all the colors. And it's a very... I mean, if you sort of miss that, Link to the Past Zelda type game, this is really... It's got it in there, man. Like I definitely started playing it the other day, and before I knew it, multiple hours had cruised by, and I was, and it's not nearly as much hand holding as a lot of RPGs are these days.
What are you playing it on?
I just said I was playing it on the Xbox One.
Sorry, I gapped out for a sec. Yeah, I've also got an Xbox One. I haven't played it as much as you have. I started it, and then I think the baby started crying, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll come back to this. And then Destiny came out, and then Gears came out.
Yeah, that's fair. No, it's fun. It's like I said, it's that very similar Zelda-esque gameplay, very much similar to Link to the Past, I would have to say.
Yeah,
probably the most close.
Totally like Link to the Past.
But there's also these huge Wind Waker sort of moments where you jump in a ship and you cruise around to multiple islands and stuff like that. And unlike A Link to the Past, at least I haven't noticed it yet, you don't directly control when you're cruising around in the ship. So you essentially pull up your map and you select an island that you want to go to, and then it automatically starts to go there. And as you level up, you get upgrades to your boats and things like that. Yeah. So I've got more or less a gun on the front of my boat, which is pretty cool. So as you're cruising along from island to island, there'll be little sea monster things that'll pop up. There'll be debris that's been scattered around that you can shoot. Some of it will have coins in it.
I gotta play it some more. Did you know this was an iOS game first?
I honestly had no idea that it was an iOS game first.
Yeah,
I knew that it came out on Steam. I knew that it was on PC.
Yeah.
So, but I did not realize it was an iOS game. I don't know.
It just came out in September on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It was on iOS first, then PC.
I mean, I guess you could play it with a controller. I don't having a touchscreen on-screen controls to me would be terrible because it's very
yeah, it's funny, eh?
Control sensitive.
It's got really high ratings on the iOS store. It's funny. It seems like you're reading the wiki almost because they compare it exactly like you did the Wind Waker and Link to the Past.
Oh, that's hilarious! I did not even.
I know you didn't
realize that. So.
That's funny.
Yeah. No, I'm really enjoying it though.
The little I played seemed pretty cool.
It very much scratches that itch. If you've got that itch to kind of play one of those old school RPGs, it does a good job of scratching that itch. And like those older school RPGs, it definitely doesn't do a ton of hand holding. It kind of tells you initially, this is the island that you're on. This is kind of where you're going. And after that, you get your boat and they tell you where to go. And then pretty much after that, the hand holding ends. I went to sort of the main hub town and I ran around and talked to a bunch of people and discovered, sort of unlocked a bunch of islands, and then kind of ran into a wall. Like, I expected to talk to somebody there that would tell me where to go or what to do. And then finally I was just like, all right, well, forget that. I'm going to go to one of these other islands. And so I took off, and, it turns out that was kind of the right thing I was supposed to do. So, no, I'm really liking it. It's, I don't honestly know what it is off the top of my head as far as money goes.
$15.
Okay. That was what I was going to say would be my guess. And I feel like for that amount of money, it would be easily worth spending that money. Like I said, I've got 5 or 6 hours into it already. I think I'm at about 14% completion is what it said. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a game there. It's maybe not obviously as big as, you're not going to maybe drop 50, 60, 80 hours into it, but there's definitely a game there. And I feel like for $15, if you're a fan of, Link to the Past and Wind Waker, I feel like it's great value there. No doubt about it. So, yeah, that's kind of my Oceanhorn beginnings, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also, this sort of ties in with a bit of free-for-all. I don't really know if I want to... Essentially, I installed Dishonored. We were at the Dishonored 2 event at PAX, and neither one of us had played Dishonor.
Yeah, and like me a couple weeks ago.
You installed it. Have you played it yet?
Yeah, I've been playing it. I started playing it after that event. I think I talked about it on the podcast with Jude.
Okay.
So I started playing Dishonored while you were gone on PC.
Right, I remember that you'd installed it, but I couldn't remember if you'd actually played it yet.
Yeah,
so.
I actually started playing it. I don't know. I think I'll say 12 to 15 hours in.
Okay, so you're definitely past where I'm at. I've finished essentially the first mission.
I think I've unlocked all the powers, not their second levels, but I've unlocked all of them.
Yeah, so I did the first assassination last night. Well, yesterday.
Which was that Chancellor dude or whoever it was?
Yeah, he's like the Chancellor guy. You have an opportunity to save the girl's like uncle in it.
Is it her uncle? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like her uncle.
He's one of the officers.
Yeah.
She finds out that he's going to get backstabbed and killed. Yeah. That was one of the bonus missions in that one.
Yeah, so I totally swapped the wine on them and killed Buddy.
Yeah, because you could also do it a non-violent way as well, right? But
you know what's funny is I went out of my way to get the instructions on how to do the non-violent way, or the non-lethal way, I should say. I think it's fairly violent still, but it's non-lethal. I
wanted to kill that guy because he backstabbed you.
Right, and he was a dick.
So it was kind of a revenge thing.
Yeah. So that's how I went about it. It's actually funny because initially I actually did it twice. I screwed up the first time. I waited and I waited and I waited, and I didn't realize how much time I had before they came into the room. Mm-hmm. So I waited until they actually came into the room, and then I dropped down and I murdered him in front of the other guy who didn't know that he was going to get murdered. So with like the wine or whatever. So then of course he freaks out. He actually killed me. And I was like,
yeah, because he doesn't know that you saved him at that point.
Exactly. He has no idea.
Assassin.
Totally. So anyways, so then the second time after I reloaded my game, I played it and I hopped down and I swapped the wine so that he would get the one that was good and the dude that I needed to kill would be dead. So it was cool. And then I totally like slinked out afterwards. I waited and I hopped down, grabbed the journal, and then like totally like slinked out of the building and like didn't even get seen afterwards. So it was awesome.
So what happened? See, for me in that situation, after the guy was poisoned, he blamed the other guy. And then he ordered his guys to go after him. Did you
Really?
did you kill those guys, or did that not happen for you?
That totally didn't happen for me.
Yes. See, for me, he died as he was dying. He's like called in his guards. I don't know if that had something to do with them being nearby or not. And he basically blamed him for knowing or doing for him poisoning him. And then the guards tried to kill him. So in mine, I killed the guards, and he ran away. He thought I was going to kill him as well, but he ran away and got away safely. But the guards were trying to kill him.
No, see, what happened in mine is like I swapped the drinks. He drank, and then he started to like pass out. And then what ended up happening is the guy he was trying to kill called the guards. He was like, guards, guards, and they rushed in. And he's like, somebody look. And so then the guards started searching for me, and he as well tried to search for me. And then after like the room was clear or whatever, I hopped down and grabbed the journal and took off. Yeah. And then at the end, he was like good to go. So no, I didn't even realize that could be an outcome as well.
Yeah. So, I think I've done 2 more missions.
Okay.
After that one.
Right.
It's an awesome game, eh?
To me, I feel like stealth is hard to nail in video games. Like, it's hard to give you a feel of being stealthy without it feeling clunky.
Yeah, because there's no on-screen meter saying you're in stealth. Because I don't think they wanted to make it that easy. Because if you include that, then stealth's just easy.
Well, not necessarily. Because, I mean, like, I don't know, did you ever play the Chronicles of Riddick?
No.
That was an original, like, Xbox game, and also on PC. Incredible games, awesome games.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
They had a thing in those games, like a meter that would tell you, when you were essentially in stealth and when you weren't in stealth. And it worked out really well. That's actually part of what made those games good. Because the thing is like, you, without having like a cone or something like that, like they did in the original Metal Gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, which was represented on a little radar, and this game doesn't have a radar, so
exactly. I feel like they do a good job of giving you enough powers so that you can sort of figure out, like, okay, there's a guy here or there's a guy there, and he's looking that way and he's looking that way.
You have the dark vision power or whatever?
I do, yeah.
Okay, which that lets you look through the walls, and it does show you a cone of vision for your enemies.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like they did a good job with, like, stealth. It feels good in this game. Like, it feels like you're being a badass. I don't know, maybe it's just, like, they allow enough idiocy from the bad guys, like, even though you're, like, hanging out on a chandelier, like, and the guys are walking around sort of, they're not noticing you or whatever, which is, yes, it's not realistic, but in the sense of a video game, it works really well. And then having Blink and some of the other powers that you get later, I feel like it does a really good job of making you feel like a badass assassin without making it feel like you're cheating. You know what I mean? Like, you can still get seen and dudes can still rush you and totally kick your ass.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes you feel like you have a chance. Like, I feel like stealth is one of those things where if it's done wrong, it can completely ruin a video game.
Yeah. I find I play stealthy in this until I get spotted, and then I'll kill whoever sees me. And maybe,
that's kind of what happens for me.
Maybe the one guy, like, I'm not doing a total stealth non-lethal playthrough. I don't have time for that. Nobody got time for that.
I've heard, and I don't know, but I've heard depending on how much chaos you create throughout the game has quite a different change on how the game ends. So apparently if you're if you're an asshole and you kill a lot of people, come the end of the game, that has repercussions.
I haven't been killing everyone. I try not to kill people, but if I get spotted, I kill them. Yeah.
But that's just a thing that I've heard. I don't know sort of what those repercussions are, obviously, but that's something that I'd heard about. So
I'm hoping.
But wow, that game is great. It runs really good. Obviously, I mean, it is a few years old, but it runs
Yeah, it
super
runs
well.
amazing.
And it's beautiful. Like, it's so pretty. So
It's a very cool stylized look.
I love the clockwork and the steampunk feel.
I love how layered the levels are. Like, there's like 6 ways to go somewhere.
The level design in this reminds me of the original Deus Ex game, where you can honestly go about almost however the hell you want. Like, you could totally stealth it, or if you want, you could totally gear up and just kill everyone and be that guy. Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like it would be hard to play through this game the same.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's just so many paths. And they're
I love it.
Curling on top of each other and wrapping around each other. And just so many ways to go, which is really cool. The level design's fantastic.
Well, I mean, just that first, like, that first mission that we were talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you could have possessed a rat and ran in pretty much half the, like, building just possessing animals and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can...
That's a cool power.
Stealth in the back door like I did, or I actually came in from the very top, I came in through the kennels. So, but there's so many different ways. The level design at least is phenomenal in that game.
There's some really awesome assassinations that you can do in that game when you use that possession mechanic. In one level, there's like a pool with fish, and the piping linked into a room that was locked where one of your targets was.
Oh, really?
So, like, I snuck into that room as a rat, and then, jumped out of the rat, possessed a fish, went through the piping into the room, came out, and assassinated everyone in the room. And then just jumped back in a fish and swam back out, and it's like no one had a clue that I just murdered everyone in there.
That's awesome.
There's so many cool, like, the powers and combinations of stuff you can do.
Oh, for sure.
And there's multiple paths to the same end is really neat.
No, that, like, honestly, I'm now that I'm playing it, I'm kind of ashamed that I've waited this long.
No,
like, it's
absolutely.
a really good game. Like, holy shit, good. Like, honestly, if you haven't played it, don't be an idiot like us. Go play it. It's awesome.
I'm sure it's super cheap on Steam right now too.
So, and those are what I've been playing.
Yeah,
I've also been playing some Transformers still on my phone.
Yeah, stupid Transformers. Let's not talk about it.
We'll talk about it next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it for what you've been playing. We can get into the news. Not a lot of news, but some news.
Some interesting news.
Some people have gotten their hands on and a closer look at the little mini NES Classic Edition that's coming out.
I saw that.
So there's good news and there's bad news. And we kind of knew there was bad news. Like, for one, there's no USB. There's no way of downloading more games. That's kind of crappy. The good news is the games look better than, say, the Virtual Console versions. The bad news is you can't get into the suspend mode or the menus off the controller. You have to hit the reset button.
Get up and manually hit the button on the controller.
You have to get
itself.
up like we used to in the olden days and hit the button to get into the menu. And the controller cords are very short.
Yeah, they're wired for one, and yeah, they're very short. Which, I mean, I understand why they did it. It's supposed to be cheap and everything else, but at the same time, it's like, it kind of, that
the thing
sucks.
that annoys me about the system is no one in Canada has opened pre-orders for it yet.
Really?
Like, no, like,
when does this thing come out?
In November. So I don't know. I can't pre-order it, so I'm kind of annoyed because I want to pre-order it.
Do we even know if they're selling it in Canada?
Yeah, they're selling it in Canada. It's, I believe, $79
Okay.
compared to the $69 in the US. So it's kind of annoying.
30 games for $79. That's a pretty good deal.
No, it's an awesome little deal. Cool little flashback, neat little system. So that's the good and bad news. People have actually gotten their hands on it. I don't know, not huge complaints, but the info's out there now.
Fair enough.
And Japan gets their own version. They're getting a mini Famicom, which is the family computer, which is the Japanese version of the NES. And some of the games,
Entertainment System.
And some of the games are a little different, obviously.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're not identical.
I guess that makes sense.
I think some games are localized only to Japan that never came here. I don't know exactly which ones are on there, but it's 30 games as well. Same thing, but totally looks different. It looks like a little mini Famicom.
I always thought the Famicom looked better anyways.
It looks interesting. It's a weird looking system, in my opinion.
I liked it.
I like
cool.
the color. The color is cool. The red and the beige or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was white back in the day. I think all of them turned beigey because of
I don't know if it's really a white.
No, you're right. It's like a cream.
It's like an off-white. Maybe not beige. Yeah, the NES has turned beige because the plastic did some weird funky thing. Apparently they said that's something to do with one of the chemicals in the plastic that they used.
Yep. And the way that it would interact with the way that it interacts with the UV light.
In anticipation of PlayStation VR coming out next week, PlayStation Blog released a ginormous FAQ.
Man, that thing is great.
Answers like a buttload of questions about what you need, what's coming with it, what isn't coming with it, what it can do, how to set it up, what it's capable of, what it's not capable of, blah, 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 yabbity, yabbity. It's huge. It's giant. Talks about games coming out. This is huge. It's a giant post.
Yeah, it's a pretty answers huge.
Every question you could possibly have. They did an unboxing so you can see what's in it. And then obviously today, all the reviews dropped because embargoes were up for everyone who got units. A bunch of the big places got them. I shared Kotaku's review on the site.
Yeah, it seems like everybody pretty much dropped their reviews yesterday. I was amazed.
It's been
mixed bag.
A mixed bag, yes. Everyone loves the headset. The quality,
say it's probably the most comfortable one.
There's a lot of positivity around the hardware. There's been some negativity around the sensitivity of the Move controllers. Seem to drift and shake a little bit, even though you may not be moving them.
Yeah, that was a pretty huge complaint from the Giant Bomb guys. They did a big live stream. Yeah, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, anyways, it was yesterday,
and that was a big one that they were finding that essentially, at one point, Jeff set the controllers down, and yet it was moving in the game back and forth and forward and back and side to side and stuff. And I don't know if it's just, I don't know. It's interesting. And it seems to happen and then stop happening. Like even they were saying that was an issue that they were seeing at that moment. And then it seems to be worse with some games, better in other games, and other times it totally goes away and it's not an issue. So they almost seem to think that maybe there was a software, it seemed like it was something that could very well be rectified in software. So they were, not really sure, but that was one of the biggest complaints. The other complaint, from what I understood, was the head tracking. That, depending on what you were doing, the area where because everything essentially how it works with PlayStation VR is it uses the camera to keep track of the lights and stuff on the headset itself for positional tracking. There is a gyroscope and stuff within the headset itself as well, so you can do other things with it in case somebody walks in front of your console or something like that. But ultimately, it uses the lights and stuff with the camera, and it needs to be able to see those lights Otherwise, it doesn't know where your head is. Now, the thing is that if you're doing a game where you need to be standing, that poses a bit of a problem if all of a sudden the next thing you're doing is sitting, because you might stand outside of the range of what your camera can see, and then you might sit down and back into the range. And so they were having a problem as far as like that sweet spot. And obviously it all depends on what your living room would look like, or where your VR space would look like. Obviously other VR manufacturers, especially like the Vive, for example, they got away with having multiple, more or less like infrared sensors that you set up in the room that keep track of you at all times. And then there's other infrared sensors on the actual headset itself. And so you've got one in front of you, you've got one behind you, and then that allows it to position you at all times. Whereas the PlayStation VR, you're using the camera in front of you at all times to try and keep track of you. Now, again, it seemed to really depend on like what the game was and what, sort of the setup is. But that's seemingly like one of the sort of bigger issues arising from it. And again, and it's very interesting because, like I said, I watched the Giant Bomb guys stream for a while yesterday, and they were kind of showing some of their frustrations and obviously, what they liked, what they didn't like, et cetera, et cetera. I've read many reviews on it now, and it's very interesting because like some of the reviews were just like, yeah, I'm amazed at how well the technology has worked. It's been phenomenal. I haven't had any issues with it. And then other ones kind of are in between. I have sometimes had some issues with it. Other times it's been great, kind of back and forth. And then obviously, sort of the Giant Bomb guys it seemed like they had the most issues that I've seen. And they definitely kind of were voicing like, the headset is awesome, by far and away the most comfortable out of all three headsets. Obviously the screen is not quite as high resolution, and, so obviously from that regard, it's definitely not as good as the Vive or the Oculus. But, for the money and everything, like that headset is fantastic. But it seems like where the issue is definitely lying is trying to rely on sort of Move technology, if you will, that dual camera with the lights, as a tracking. So, who knows? I'm wondering, if this is what's going to be happening now, but who knows what down the road, maybe they'll implement and allow you to add a second camera. I don't know. Or if this is just this is what it is. So I'll be interesting to see sort of moving forward. And obviously the software is still a large part of this. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see, Sony dropping some fairly large updates to make sure that this is all sort of working and stuff, next week and in the not too distant future as well. So, but that seems to be the takeaway from most people at this point.
Yeah. I don't know.
It seems very mixed,
I wonder if it's just studio, maybe some interference, maybe there can be some firmware. I imagine Sony can make some tweaks, seeing all this feedback in mass now. They probably can make adjustments.
Well, and that's like I said, right?
I feel like there could be patches for this, for the tracking, because you could turn the sensitivity down, right? That it wouldn't jitter. Like, why couldn't you? Because you don't need. There's no super precise motions in any of these games, right?
No, I don't believe so. And it's a mix of, you've got the gyroscopes in the controllers, you've also got the gyroscopes in the actual headset. You can definitely.
I feel like that stuff could be fixed. So some people are super positive, some people are kind of mixed bag. I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I know I really wanted it, and then it's like, I'm probably still going to end up getting the goddamn thing, so maybe we'll talk about it next week. It comes out next Thursday, so maybe we might have to record late again just to get some early impressions in on that.
Yeah, I don't know. This is... ultimately, I think for me, it's clearly the cheapest option. As much as I would love to totally go out and drop a bunch of money on an Oculus.
Well, an Oculus or a Vive for both of us, I think. Well, I don't know about your new video card, but for me, I probably have to invest in a new video card as well. So
come on, man. Way to like take my thunder.
Sorry.
That was for the free-for-all section.
Well, you can talk about it in free-for-all, but like for me...
No, my new one is about as fast as your current one.
To get something I'm going to play, wow, cool, it's amazing, is like closer to $2,000 compared to the $500 or after taxes $600.
Yeah,
for the headset because I have everything else already.
Oh, for sure.
So
absolutely. And
then I can get in VR and have these experiences and blow people away, and then I'm not in the whole $2,000. So when I'm not playing it every day, like everyone who has a VR headset, they're not playing it every day.
No, not at all.
You know, it's more of a novelty. You jump in, you jump out, you play with your friends, you try the stuff that you got out there, but it's not at the point where it's like going to be our main method of gaming.
No, it's definitely not there yet. You're not, like you said, this is not, you know, you're going to use it for a couple of days and you're going to play, you know, all of the experiences, and you're going to play all of the sort of the first wave of initial games that come out for it. And then there's going to be, like every new console or every new iteration of a major console, there's going to be that area afterwards where things are going to get pretty slim, is my guess. There's going to be a time that's kind of dry, you know, before the newer the new games that are designed for it come out, probably, you know, early to mid next year, right? And that's fairly standard. Anybody that's bought a console knows that's, you know, happening.
It's sold out. I don't know how many Sony made. I'm going to guess they made more than 100,000, which is basically, I think the install base for Oculus and Vive each are about 100,000 a piece. Maybe 150,000 if we stretch it. So it's not a lot of units out there.
Currently, the headset with the most users is the Samsung.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Gear VR.
It's $100.
There's over 1 million of those out there.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna guess Sony made at least 1 million of these. I'm gonna guess they probably made more than 1 million.
I hope so. I still think that because they're releasing when they're releasing, it's going to be hard to get a hold of. You're going to have the initial wave that's going to sell out. Then they're going to get
which I'm going to guess is going to be at the very least. They have 40 plus million installed systems out there.
Yep.
So 1 million units, like what is that?
Well, it's 1/40th, but yeah, I mean, I feel like that wouldn't be that hard to do though.
No. So by default, they will have a bigger audience than Vive and Oculus put together. So that could hopefully promote or start some churn in the VR space where people can actually make some, and there are people making money right now, but like really spur the development in VR. And of course the games are going to be on PSVR, and then they're going to obviously come to Oculus and Vive after. But we're probably going to end up seeing stuff come to PSVR first, and then you're going to have that premiere experience that comes in on the other headsets later.
Yeah, I could definitely. I mean, I think that we're probably going to see a bunch of crossover. You're going to see the developers that have developed some cool experiences, you know, for HTC or for Oculus, and then they're going to, you know, realize like, hey, cool, we could totally port this over to, you know, PlayStation VR, and you know,
all the demos I played on PSVR and Vive and Oculus, I've loved them all. I've had fun with all of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've never been like, this sucks.
No.
But they've also been staged environments, optimal conditions.
Totally.
You know, Oculus,
you're sitting how far away from like the sensors?
Oculus and Vive are like super high end, like probably
like
$3,000 PCs, probably $3,000 PCs, SLI ridiculous configurations. So you've got the best possible experience. You know, the PlayStation VR, every time we tried it, was in like, you know, the best possible conditions.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. it's VR still early. Like, that's why I canceled my pre-orders of the other two. Like, I have the money. I still have the money. That's why I bought a freaking 4K TV, is because I didn't spend the money on VR headsets, and it was burning a freaking hole in my pocket.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I think I'm still on the fence, but I think
if you have the money,
if I'm gonna gamble on any of them, I may as well gamble on the one that's the cheapest.
Yes, true story.
That's the closest to the real experience, but without charging me $2,000.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing.
And if you have the money, if you don't have the money and you're giving up getting, the Call of Duty and Titanfall and, Dishonored and all the big AAA titles you want to play this fall, it might not be the time for you to jump in. You might want to wait until spring or after Christmas.
That's where I'm actually having a bit of a hard time. I'm like, man, if I buy PSVR,
you don't get it.
And then there's all these other games coming out. Like I'll be able to grab maybe one or two, but if I buy all of them, like I would probably normally do, and the PSVR, my wife will probably murder me.
Yeah, so for someone like you, it might be better to wait out the storm. If you don't exactly have the free money just sitting there. Yeah,
no, it's and then the other thing is too is it a for those of us out there who have cool family or whatever, or spouses and things like that, is it something you throw on your Christmas list? Mm-hmm. See, and that's the thing. Like, I think that this being released so close to Christmas,
this is an amazing Christmas gift for sure.
They're guaranteed that they're going to be sold out the moment they announce they release it next week, all the way until January of next year. That's the reality of it. Yeah. Because everybody's going to be buying it initially. Those are all the first people that wanted it. And by the time stock starts to finally catch up, then you're getting into Black Friday and Christmas holiday rush season, and then everybody's going to be sold out because this is going to be a hot commodity for Christmas presents.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the other thing. So, you could definitely, if you're on the fence, you could always throw it on your Christmas list and see how it goes. And
it's tough to see what kind of value, with the PS4 Pro being out another month. Are the experiences going to get better on PSVR? Is the PSVR a better value to spend your money on that instead of the headset where everything benefits?
Well, and that is totally true. Like, or if, that is the other question. Like, do you wait and see what kind of value the PlayStation Pro brings to PSVR? And then what? Then next year, when you can actually get your hands on PSVR and the PlayStation Pro, do you buy those?
Yeah.
Together? That's that. Suddenly, though, then you're looking at there you go. Now you're looking at $1,000.
I imagine there's probably going to be I don't know. They probably don't want to make a PS4 Pro VR headset bundle because then it'll just look like PS4 is $1,000. And that probably don't want that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I think they'd be smart if they did, but who knows?
Yeah. Okay, enough PSVR talk. I might have one. I might have one next week. I might not.
We'll see. I'm still super on the fence about it.
Xbox One has a couple new bundles coming out with Gears of War 4. Fitting that we talked about at the top of the show. So if you don't have an Xbox One and you're thinking about jumping in, it's the new S model, obviously. There's a white terabyte model and then a blue. It's a weird color.
It looks like the same color as the Forza.
Yeah, like that
Forza
navy blue, but it looks like kind of gray at the same time.
With almost a hint of green thrown in.
Do they say what color that is down here?
They're just calling it, it's the deep blue console.
Deep blue.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's the crazy bundle. There's the Gears of War 4 special edition bundle, which is all
2 terabyte.
Which is all red and got the cool Gears logos and all kinds of stuff on it.
So yeah, if you don't have an Xbox One, you can get the new one with Gears of War 4.
Oh, man, it's kind of tempting to like, sell my like Xbox One and get one of these like new S's.
I imagine that will be available on launch next Tuesday. Yeah, the Gears one's like expensive. It's like $4.99 or something. The special,
it's also
the red,
2
the red
terabyte
one.
though.
Yeah, he needs 2 terabytes.
These have got to be coming out like ASAP.
Yeah, they're coming out Tuesday.
Yeah,
October 11th. Modern Warfare Remastered requires Infinite Warfare to run, so it's obviously on the disc or part of the main executable. If you buy it digitally, it's not like you have a disc to get rid of. But obviously, for people that just wanted to play that, they're making it so you just don't buy it and flog the game off if you only wanted to play the remaster. Speaking of which, if you have a PS4 and you pre-ordered digitally or pre-purchased the game, you can actually play the remastered version now.
Really?
They have a month of exclusivity. Yep, you can play Call of Duty Modern Warfare right now, the remastered version on PS4.
Really?
Yep, a month before the other game.
Wow, that started today. That started yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, so there's footage of that out there if you want to see comparisons.
Also, if you are a retail customer and if you've pre-purchased the game through GameStop, Best Buy, and Walmart in the US, I don't know who my guess is EB and like Best Buy in Canada. If you complete your purchase in full, you will receive a code to download the remastered.
Oh.
So
GameStop Best in the US. Oh, boo.
So there you go.
Yeah, because I have it pre-ordered, but I don't have it fully paid off.
You should go pay it off and go play some of that action.
Nah, I don't got time for that. I already played that game, even though it will look a lot cooler.
Wait, did you purchase it on PC, though?
Yeah, I have it pre-ordered on PC.
Yeah.
Though I also have it pre-ordered on console because it was $50.
Huh.
There's like a sale, E3 sale, and it was super cheap. And I'm like, for $50, I'm probably going to end up canceling that. Gravity Rush 2 has been delayed until
I was
next year.
super bummed out about this, but it makes sense. I get it.
As a make good gesture, Sony is releasing the DLC as a free thing to make up for being late. So
I saw that.
They had some premium DLC that they were going to release that they're going to release free.
So now the game comes out January 20th of next year, which actually, you know what, that actually probably works because there's probably not going to be a whole lot coming out around there, so it allows the game to kind of breathe, I think. You know, right around the time people are sort of burned through their Christmas stuff that they've played, and now they're looking for something else to play, and so there you go.
Yeah, I don't think delays are a bad thing right now. I already don't have enough time for the games that are out now, and there's a bunch coming still.
I concur there.
PS4, Skyrim and Fallout are getting mods after all. What? You don't say. The negative backlash.
Yeah.
Though limited compared to the Xbox versions, they are coming. So, yay, Sony.
I honestly think that this has more to do with the fact that they are worried about like everything. Because, like, let's be honest, you've got a game, you know, Skyrim and Fallout. Half the mods are for like nude mods and various other, you know, things and
bigger boob mod.
Yeah. Also, you start running into issues where people are building mods and releasing mods on your console with stuff that they don't own. You know, suddenly there's a Power Rangers mod, and you're like, well, we don't own Power Rangers, and now we could, in theory, get in trouble. You know, and like this kind of stuff sort of gets away on the PC because it's sort of the wild, wild west.
Wild, wild west.
But when it comes to consoles, it is very much a walled garden, and it is very different there. So, I don't know. Like, I understand that I find it amusing that Microsoft is willing to take those risks and just be like, fuck it. Let's just let everybody do whatever the hell they want with the mod thing.
Yeah.
But I have a funny feeling that when push comes to shove, what we're going to see is that, yes, that's the way they say that that's going to happen, but I have a sneaky suspicion when somebody drops the nude mod on Xbox One, that's probably just going to disappear off the store.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. And so instead of trying to deal with the backlash of that happening,
they just limit it.
I think Sony is just limiting it right off the bat and saying, like, look, every asset that's in the game, you can build a mod with. Anything that's not essentially allowable in the game or currently an asset in the game, we're not allowing.
Yeah, which is fine. You know, it's their system, it's their platform. At least they're kind of letting it, you know, it's better than how it seemed before. Like, nope, not going to happen.
Exactly. But I mean, I don't know. I see and I understand where they're coming from. Like, how do you,
absolutely.
You know, because then what? Then you need mods. You know, you need moderators to go through and go, okay, this mod is okay, that mod is not okay, and then you have to have rules on, and it just starts to get super messy. Whereas, like, on the PC side, it's just anything goes. You want to build a mod for anything, you can build a mod for anything, and that's that. Nobody's threatening to sue you because it's on your platform or whatever, right? Whereas that's just not the case on console. So,
jeez,
there we go.
Yeah, I'm glad they kind of turned around a little bit. It's still not perfect, but makes sense.
Ultimately, I don't care because I don't play either of those games. But
I have Fallout and Skyrim on PC. So if you want to play mods, if you want mods, you play games on PC. To be honest, I don't ever even play with mods, even on PC. So
yeah, I don't really either.
But they look cool. There's definitely some cool stuff. Oculus had an Oculus Connect event today.
Yes, they did.
They announced the touch controllers are coming in December, $199 American.
Holy shit, those are expensive.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking $100 per controller. I thought for sure they were going to, like, release these things at, like, I don't know, $150 for two at the top. I figured for sure that was the top of what they were going to do.
Yeah, so all in, the Vive's 800 and you get everything, and to get a comparable setup with Oculus, it's $880, and that's American. They announced some social Facebook stupid app that's coming. Actually, I'm sure it'll probably be pretty cool.
They also announced room scale for the Oculus as well.
Yeah,
as a separate thing again, though.
That's why you need the other sensor. That's what I was saying. To get it up to being equal to Vive, it's $880.
Yeah, so there's another additional $80 for the room scale sensor.
Showed some new games. They didn't say anything about Palmer Luckey and his racist hate group.
I feel like that's not surprising.
That happened.
They also announced that they're currently working on a middle tier headset as well that's going to be an all-in-one, that you're not going to need a PC or a smartphone. It's going to have its own built-in screens, and it's going to run off of its own.
And it's in early development, so
exactly. So we're probably a year or two away from that, but they did announce it, and they did actually show off some interesting sort of concept shots, I guess, for lack of a better term. They also announced some more headphone stuff for the Oculus as well.
Yeah, nothing excites me there.
No, not really.
I was hoping there would have been a price drop or something. That would have made me excited, but
that's, I think, what a lot of people were really hoping for. To be fair, though, I have read that the Oculus Touch controllers are awesome. Like, apparently the way the sensors work, you can, it's sensitive that it can, you've got fingers that it can tell where they are. And apparently it really does add a lot.
That's the one thing I haven't tried. Like, we've tried Oculus a million times, but never with the touch controllers.
I know, right? And I've heard amazing things about their touch controllers. I
haven't heard anyone say, oh yeah, the touch just makes it so the Vive is useless. So I haven't heard that comparison. People just say the Oculus and the Vive are the same now.
Yeah, ultimately.
Google had a big event that their little surprise was also leaked. But
this is like the worst surprise ever.
The Google Pixel, they unveiled some Google phones, and actually their VR headset as well, the Daydream headset, which works with their phone. It looks like a neat phone. It's an Android phone. It's not like
this is their
Nexus.
Replacement for the Nexus. Essentially, moving forward. There's not going to be any more Nexuses.
It's basically their phone. It's Google's phone. It's made by HTC, so it looks like a freaking iPhone.
But HTC is not in any way, shape, or form involved in this. Like, if you have an issue with this phone, you contact Google.
It's Google.
Like, it's a completely. This is essentially the Google phone.
Yeah, it is.
This isn't a Nexus by LG or anything. This is literally this is the Google phone, the Pixel.
The Daydream headset, which looks like a Gear VR made out of cloth.
The Daydream View.
Daydream View, sorry. $79. It looks interesting. I guess it works with Daydream compatible phones, which I guess right now the only one is the Pixel. I don't see why the newer Samsungs wouldn't work with that as well, but they have their own solution for that. So,
yeah,
there's a new Chromecast Ultra which does 4K.
Yeah, with Ethernet support as well now.
They've got their own version of Alexa called Google Home, and that was a big thing. The Google Assistant is a big feature of the Pixel, and the Pixel also they tote unlimited storage because basically they just give you unlimited.
Cloud storage for your photos and video.
And music and video. So it comes in a 32 gig and a 128 gig version, but obviously you don't need any more space because all your stuff just goes into outer space.
Kind of strange to me that they wouldn't offer this in a 64 and 128. Instead, it's a 32 and 128. Like, you know what I mean?
32s should all disappear.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. Big announcement for Google. I don't care. I already have an Android phone. I don't need a Google version. Though I do wish manufacturers would just release the ability to have like flat Android OS without all their bullshit. I would appreciate that.
Yeah, so would I. The other thing that I find interesting that I do want to point out, and this is kind of a first, if you will, is that suddenly with the Pixel phones, it's interesting because up until now, if you had a Nexus phone, when there was a new version of Android, you would automatically be the first person to get your hands on it. And it did not matter what your provider said. It was like completely sort of outside of that deal. But there's already been a few providers that have come out and said, we are going to be the ones that send you and test updates and send them out to you with the Pixel. So Google has said, we will push out security updates regardless of who you're with on the Pixel. But it looks like the full updates themselves may be actually at the mercy of your provider again, which is kind of a really shitty step backwards in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Cool. Google's making their phone. I wasn't blown away.
I don't know. I feel like I expected more. Yeah, I
was expecting it to be like, but that's just the nature of cell phone technology. It's just better camera, cooler screen, yibbity yabbity. Like,
I mean, it comes in two sizes. That's the Pixel and the Pixel XL.
The technology's kind of plateaued, right? There's not a lot to get. It's minor improvements. There's nothing there that you have. It's the all-in-one device. Unless some new technology is invented that we are unaware of, it does everything, and it just gets a little better at doing everything every year.
Yeah. 4 gigs of RAM. It's got a Snapdragon 821, so it's got like the bump, the small bump compared to the one, compared to the Samsung and whatever that's being released currently, which has got
820s.
Which, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I have weird feelings about this whole Daydream thing too. Like they're creating their own. They created Google Cardboard, which was their weird pretend VR thing. Now they're releasing Daydream, and I don't know. I feel like they're creating another type of VR store. Yeah, like it just. I don't know. Like, yeah. I mean, I guess. The beauty of this is that suddenly anybody that's a partner can get in on it. Like, so I mean, it could work with not just. I mean, obviously, right now it's going to be working with Google Pixel, but
it could work with all. But other phones.
Yeah, but it very well could work with other manufacturers' phones. Whereas I guess the Gear VR only works with Samsung.
Yeah, and it's tied in with the Oculus. So
yeah.
Oh.
They also announced Google Wi-Fi, which is new home Wi-Fi routers. So I guess they're kind of getting rid of their OnHub program and moving it into Google Wi-Fi. This one seems... I actually prefer this one a lot, though, because this one, they're designing this to be set up in a mesh. So you can actually buy... If you only have a small apartment, you can buy one. But if you have like a house, you could, in theory, buy multiple of these. So you have small base stations all over the place to have great meshed Wi-Fi around your house, which is really cool. Ultimately, I still think it's pretty expensive, though. $129 for one or 3-pack for $300.
Yeah.
So I mean, ultimately, I'm curious to see what type of functionality you have, because just like their OnHub program, this is all like run through a smartphone app, which I don't know. I mean, I guess for me as somebody who works in IT, that sounds like a horrible thing. Like I want to be able to get in there and change everything. So then to have the limits of what I can do based upon their smartphone app, and I mean, who knows, maybe their smartphone app will be great and allow you to have control over everything that I'd be happy with. I'll be curious to see it. It comes out in December, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's pretty much what they kind of released at the Google thing.
Yeah. That's about it for news.
Yeah.
We can move into the free-for-all. I was going to have an update on my TV, but I didn't have a chance to run any 4K content yet. At 1080p, I still love it. So I don't think until I get the PS4 Pro or if I magically get an Xbox One S that I will really have anything to report on. I could watch Netflix. I just haven't gotten to it. I haven't had a chance.
Oh, right. Because it's a smart TV. It's got to have the 4K Netflix app built in, right?
It's built in, so I can watch it. I had to upgrade my package, and when I'm choosing, you could see Ultra HD, which is 4K, and then some of the titles say Dolby Vision, which is HDR.
Oh, okay.
As well as the 4K.
Right. Does your TV support Dolby?
Yep. It supports. That's one of the reasons I bought this TV. It supports Dolby Vision and the HDR10 standard.
Okay,
so
cool.
It does both.
Because that's going to be the big challenge sort of moving forward, is these multiple HDR standards that have come out.
HDR10 seems to be the one that everyone else is adopting because it doesn't require an extra chip.
Or a license.
And the Dolby Vision requires an extra chip, but the Dolby Vision is
apparently awesome.
Explaining it. I think it's 12-bit as opposed to 10-bit.
Oh, so that's actually quite significant.
It has a wider color spectrum. Which
it runs a 12-bit DAC versus a 10-bit digital to analog converter.
I could be mistaken, but of the two, I believe it's better. But because it involves more expense into your product, like Samsung's and all those guys are kind of like, we're just going to go with the.
Is it backwards compatible? Do you know?
What do you mean?
Well, like for example, if you buy a TV and it has Dolby Vision or whatever they call it, can you still watch content that's HDR10?
Yeah, that's what I said.
As
My
well?
TV does both. That's why I bought this TV.
Okay, cool.
So they firmware updated this TV, and it works with the other one. But
Awesome.
you can't go the other way. If you
Right.
don't have the
That
chip,
makes sense.
you'll never see Dolby Vision. So you can't have both. So I imagine if you have a TV that has most of the TVs that have Dolby Vision, I imagine you're covered for the spectrum.
Right, okay.
Unless some new thing comes up, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. But
I hope not. Good
no,
Lord.
it would be really dumb considering they've already kind of hammered out. This is the Blu-ray versus HD DVD of the 4K.
Yeah,
universe,
exactly.
Right,
Right, because like there's already a hardware standard, which is the Ultra HD Blu-rays. So that's already been hammered out.
Yeah.
For physical media, I mean. So.
So I love my TV still, and I'm pretty happy. I gotta do an HDR report. I will do that soon. And then, actually, I put down Westworld in here. I checked out the premiere episode of that, and I've actually watched a couple episodes of Luke Cage.
Oh.
So, I don't know. Have you seen either of these?
I do not have HBO. So I do not get Westworld. That's one of those things where for me it's like I watch a very select amount of HBO shows. Before, when I lived at my old apartment, it was included in my rent.
Yeah.
So it was great. The shows that I watched, I would watch, and other than that, I didn't really care. Now that it's sort of up to me to add that onto my cable package, it's a whole nother
which is a minimum
charge.
of 15,
and it's like
it's $15 or $20 a month, something like that, depending.
Yeah, and I don't feel that I watch enough HBO content live.
Well, right now, that's the only show I'm watching on HBO.
Exactly.
Everything else is wrapped up.
So I have not watched it.
Did you watch Luke Cage?
I have not watched that yet.
Okay, you suck
because I'm
maybe. I'm just gonna give some quick impressions then. Okay. Luke Cage, pretty good. Much slower burn than Jessica Jones. I've only watched 2 episodes.
Okay.
And I do like what I've watched, but it's very different in tone than Daredevil or even Jessica Jones. It's very Harlem, black-centric, black culture. It's really centering on him and his issues he's got going on. He's kind of a troubled character right now.
Oh, dude, it's not just right now. If you've followed him in the comic books at all,
I've never read his comics, so I don't know all the back stuff to him. I am they're definitely building to something here,
right? And
into Luke Cage is not the Luke Cage yet.
No, not at all.
And that's what this show is getting to. He's this awesome, powerful guy, and he's bulletproof, and he's essentially invincible, but he's got a lot of demons and baggage that he's dealing with.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And, it's not like, hey, I'm just a freaking Superman or superhero, so I'm going to run around fucking beating everyone up and being the hero. He's got issues and stuff he's upset about, and he's got, like I said, a lot of baggage. I do like what's going on. It's setting up for some stuff to happen. I
don't know how they're handling it in this TV show, but I know in the comic books he was a gangbanger when he was younger. He ends up in jail.
They've shown
and while in prison when he essentially he ends up in an experiment which turns him into Luke Cage.
Yeah. There has been flashbacks of him in prison.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, what the hell is that about? So I'm sure
that's when he essentially became, that's where he gets his powers and all of that.
They're probably going to get to that. But I am enjoying it. It doesn't have the crazy, the first episode of Jessica Jones, the ending was like, holy shit. And Jessica Jones had such an amazing, unique, main villain that made that series really cool. So we have baddies and gangsters in this, but I don't know if that's the main villain for the motivation for this first season. I am liking the show though. I'm going to stick with it. We're only 2 episodes in. Westworld, oh my God, I fucking love this show.
Yeah, I've heard that it's amazing.
It's so cool. It's sci-fi. I don't know if it's far future or near future or just alternate. current timeline. It's basically an amusement park populated by robots called hosts. It's a Wild West like environment, and basically guests.
Oh, dude, that's just one part of it.
My God, that is just one part of it. There's so many layers of stuff going on here. Guests come in on a train and they live out their fantasies. You want to be a good guy. You want to be a bad guy. You want to just go sleep with all the chicks at the brothel. You could do whatever the fuck you want. They're just robots. They're androids. And they're there to, fulfill your whims. And they're at the same time
essentially seeing the Wild Wild West fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of other ones that are various other sort of fantasies as well that you're going to see.
So, I don't know if they're going to get to that in this show because they haven't shown any of that. They've only shown the West stuff.
Right.
The robots are unaware that they're robots. They have no idea that the guests are, humans or whatever. They're programming. They just live their daily lives, and it's almost like a groundhog thing. Like every day starts over the same, and then the new people that come in, and oh man, the music's freaking fantastic. Oh, the scenery's awesome. It's like seeing behind the scenes of a video game NPC. The hosts are like cool. Are like the characters in the video game, but they're not aware that they're not alive and that they just do it over and over again, right? They have no clue because they're not self-aware, but they're programmed so lifelike. There's some really neat stuff going on in terms of some of the robots have had some shit happen, like someone's been messing with their programming, whether it be the inventor because he wants to see the thing burn down in flames, or he wants to see it evolve. I don't know. There's some really freaky guest that's like playing the super bad guy, and we don't know his motivations. And then there's the whole business that runs this park. Anthony Hopkins is in it. He's he's basically the inventor of these robots.
Right.
I don't know many of the other characters' names. There's a lot of recognizable actors. I just love it. The show's so cool. And
I've heard that it's phenomenal.
The characters in the show are like the hosts in their Wild West surrounding. They all have storylines, and they're all intertwined, and they like have script writers that have created this world. And they didn't one of the things in this first episode, there was an update, and that's where the robots start doing some weird shit. And the president's like, okay, we got to pull these things out. Like, we can't afford to have a guest, get hurt. Like, they're programmed. They can't hurt guests. Like, guns, if you were to shoot a guest with a gun, it does nothing. It's like they're invincible. But if you shot one of the hosts, it's like they're getting shot with a real gun.
Right.
They start bleeding, they die, and so forth. But then they could just get dusted off, repaired, and thrown back in for the next day, right?
Right, okay.
I don't know all the rules of how a visit works. People buy tickets to get in there. A guest dropped a photo of New York Times Square, and one of the robots found it on their farm.
Oh, okay.
And it really fucked with them because they're like, "What is this place? What is this?" And he was just so it literally short circuited his wiring almost because he had never seen anything like that, and he couldn't fathom where that person was. There's a lot of really neat, questioning humanity, questioning rich people and their crazy exploits. I love this show so far. It's only one episode in. They've introduced a million questions and answered very little. All the rules haven't been set, and I love it. It's freaking great. I think it's really cool. And it's really neat, too, because when they're in the saloon, the music the piano guy plays, or the programmed piano plays, is modern music.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This insane shootout happens, and the saloon piano is playing Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. But it's all piano-y, old-timey piano-y. And it's fucking amazing. Amazing scene. And it was they wrote this scene into the scenario because, well, how could we get rid of 200 bots that are acting up? Well, we just have, the bandits come to town and shoot everyone the fuck up.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
I will definitely have to check it out. I don't know if it's... I'll have to... I don't know, borrow a friend's
I'm sure
HBO Go
I'm
account.
sure you'll be able
like
to find it.
Yeah.
We're getting close to running long.
Yeah.
And my power is fluctuating, so I'm kind of scared that my power is going to go out.
Oh. Is it stormy over there?
I have no idea. It must be the lights have dimmed out twice now. So I think we should wrap up before we lose this show.
Sounds like a plan.
You can follow me on Twitter at RickF. No K, RICF.
You can hit me up on Twitter at Dayne Cody at DAYNECODY.
Sorry, guys. I have a feeling the power is going to go out, and I don't want to lose this show an hour and 45 minutes in.
Fair enough.
Make sure to like us on Facebook, iTunes, review us, share it with your friends. And Dayne will watch Luke Cage, and we'll talk about your video card next week.
Sounds like a plan.
Does that sound good? All right. Thanks for listening. Have a good weekend, guys and girls.
See you next week.
Peace.